Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Now, this was a stunning moment on Tucker Carlson's podcast. Well, actually, not sure if it's a podcast, maybe more of a show, but anyways, on Tucker Carlson's X show, Tucker Carlson interviewed the Teamsters Union president, and in a way, I guess we got a glimpse in how the cookie is made. A glimpse into the behind the scenes. We all remember that moment where Kamala Harris during the campaign season said that she was the, quote, underdog in this race, right?
We know what it's like to be the underdog. And we are the underdog in this race. And we have some hard work then ahead of us.
Well, she was presenting it as such, but apparently her behavior behind the scenes was suggesting something quite different. According to this Teamsters president, Kamala Harris was under the impression that she had this thing in the bag, a sort of confident arrogance about her, and in hindsight, a clearly unfounded confident arrogance. You know, I really think in the 2024 election, the Democrat Party thought that their influence and their power was unmatched and possibly unbeatable. Let me show you guys this stunning clip and why I think it's important. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I pretty much laid out the context. Now just take a look at this interaction on the Tucker Carlson show between the Teamsters president and, of course, Tucker.
So in your meeting with him, it was obvious that he
it was. So we give 16 questions 2 weeks in advance, the same 16 questions to each candidate. So, you know, RFK answered all 16 questions. Probably most of them didn't answer them how we would like them to answer them, but they answered them. Joe Biden came in and he answered 5 of them. Donald Trump answered all 16. And then when Biden drops out of the race, but prior to Biden dropping out of the race, he's in the race around June or May. One of my vice presidents, a woman named Joan Corey out of my local, she sits on our general executive board, was at an event with Vice President Harris. You know, they're going through the line to get the picture, and Joan introduces herself to Vice President Harris, says, I'm Joan Corey. I'm on the general executive board for the Teamsters. She goes, Teamsters? You better get on board. You better get on board. Better get on board soon. Says it to my vice president.
To her face?
To her face. So she comes back. We have the meeting the next day.
Damn.
And she tells me this.
I thought I was arrogant. That's really arrogant.
So she tells me this. So I call up Marty Walsh. He wasn't the Secretary of Labor, but, you know, he was pushing hard for us to make the endorsement. I'm like, let me ask you a question, Marty. Excuse my French. Who does this lady think she is? Like, if I want to support from any organization, I am not going to point my finger in someone's face and say, you better get on board or else. But that's the attitude of this whole party. Fast forward, she finally agrees to come after we were putting pressure on her, you know, basically, because I was doing interviews all over the place saying, we haven't got invited to the DNC. You know, they haven't accepted our invitation for her to come to a roundtable, so she comes to the roundtable. Same format, same questions. Rank and file members are asking her questions just like they asked every other candidate. They were trying to negotiate with us. She only wants to answer 3 questions. We're like, there's 16 questions here. She answers 3 of them, and on the 4th question, one of her operatives or one of her staff slips a note in front of me. This will be the last question. And it was 20 minutes earlier than the time that it was going to end.
Come on.
100%. You know, you're there trying to get our support. And her declaration on the way out was, I'm going to win with you or without you.
She thought that or said it out loud?
She said it out loud.
That's insane.
You know, that moment from the interview right there just exposed, I think, everything that's wrong with the modern Democratic Party. Kamala Harris told the Teamsters president, I'm going to win with or without you. That's not just a moment of shocking arrogance. It's a perfect encapsulation of the narcissism that defines the left today. It's an attitude that says, we don't need to answer to you, we don't need your support, and we certainly don't need to earn your vote. And that's exactly why they're losing touch with the American people. And I don't think that mindset is unique to Kamala Harris, but rather I think that mindset is kind of pervasive throughout the Democratic Party, or at least within the elitist circles. They've convinced themselves that elections are theirs to win by default, and that they don't need to run on ideas or connect with voters. Instead, they can simply coast to victory on the backs of social media influencers, celebrities, and the billions of dollars in ad spending that they engage in. You know, it's clear that they see themselves as the elite because they act like it. They're so frickin' out of touch, so insulated from reality, that they genuinely believe that they don't have to engage with regular people anymore. And that's essentially what Kamala Harris said. I mean, let's be real here. Let's bring in the proper context. This wasn't during a moment where Kamala Harris was high flying with huge leads in the polls. This was during a time when the polls were tightening and the Trump base was energized like never before. Yet she had the audacity to dismiss a group as influential as the Teamsters with a flippant, "I'll win without you." It's that kind of arrogance that's costing the Democrat Party. It's that exact kind of arrogance that continues to plague the Democratic Party today. They've built their strategy on entitlement, not effort. They seem to assume that if they throw enough money at an election, get enough celebrities to endorse them, and weaponize enough media narratives, that they'll simply win. It's almost like they campaign just the way that they govern. Just throw money all over the place, throw money at any problem, at any issue, and automatically it's a political win. But obviously that strategy is falling apart now, isn't it? The truth is they're failing because they no longer know how to connect with the people, with regular people. The Democrat Party used to be the party of the working class. At least that was the self-anointed title that they had given themselves. But now it seems like they look down on the people that they claim to represent. They sneer at blue-collar workers, dismiss their concerns, and assume that they'll just fall in line. And when those exact voters push back, Democrats double down on their elitism. Instead of actually listening to people, they label dissenters as deplorables, racists, or conspiracy theorists. Instead of showing up to answer tough questions, they hide behind a wall of media sycophants and propaganda. Really, these little instances that we cover, like I always say, are a microcosm of the whole. This is the attitude of the left. This interaction or this dynamic in the 2024 election between the Teamsters Union and many other workers' unions and the Democrat Party or Kamala Harris essentially represents what happened in the 2024 election on a more macro view. You had people who had concerns and they were asking the Democrat Party directly. We have these concerns related to the economy, inflation, immigration, whatever it is. And instead of addressing those concerns, those people were shunned, they were ridiculed, they were ignored. They were essentially told to F off, and the response was, well, you have all those concerns, we're not going to address them, and we don't even care to address them because we're going to win anyways. And how are we going to win? Not by addressing any of the concerns of working class people, but rather by showing up on a stage with Beyonce. We're putting out these narratives out there that if you vote for somebody else, you're either a traitor to your race or a traitor to your gender, or you're voting for fascism, a traitor to the nation. It's like I said in the video I recorded yesterday reacting to The View. Anytime anything goes wrong for the left, the response seems to be, well, you're the problem, not us. And you see this depicted very clearly in their response to this election. Not only have they refused to take any accountability or blame for their failures, but it seems like the party isn't course correcting at all. There's a few people on the left who are voicing their concerns, who are suggesting it's time for a moment of introspection, and of course retrospection is time to take a look, reform, and move forward a changed party. But just look at the polls heading into 2028. They're still propping up Kamala Harris as their preferred candidate, the least popular vice president in modern American history. And now they're even running push polls claiming that she'll beat JD Vance. I've seen a couple of these headlines pop up recently, but let's be completely honest. This is a joke. This is not real. Kamala Harris would probably lose to Jeb frickin' Bush. She's a walking example of everything that people despise about modern Democrat Party politics. She's out of touch, inauthentic, completely unrelatable. She didn't earn the position that she's in, and it's obvious she couldn't connect with voters in 2020. There's no real reason to believe that she would fare any better in 2028, but instead of rethinking their strategy, the Democrats are just running the same tired playbook and expecting different results. We're just gonna run it back. Kamala Harris lost because everyone's racist, and so we're gonna lecture them for 4 years and then they're gonna elect her. It's unbelievable. The left's inability to adapt is frankly stunning. They're so blinded by their own self-importance that they don't even seem to realize how much damage they've done to themselves. They've spent years alienating the working class, ignoring middle America, and pandering to coastal elites. And now they're shocked, shocked, that their message doesn't resonate with voters outside of their bubble. Meanwhile, Trump and Republicans have been running circles around them because they actually show up. Trump doesn't dismiss his voter groups. He doesn't tell them, I'll win with or without you. He rallies them, he energizes them, and he listens to their concerns and then crafts his policy stances and his message to address his voters' concerns, or more importantly, to address the majority concern in the nation. And that's why his base is so loyal. It's why the GOP is gaining grounds in areas that the Democrats used to dominate. And it's obvious the left doesn't have that energy, that enthusiasm, or that connection with voters anymore. And their response is, well, who cares? We don't even need to do the boots on the ground work because we got the billionaire donor bucks and the celebrity class pushing our propaganda. The level of arrogance, the level of entitlement is just so deep. They've convinced themselves that they don't need to change even as they continue to lose ground. The sky is falling at the Democrat headquarters, but they seem to be insulating themselves, living in an underground bunker, unable to see the tumbling sky. It's just such an incredible level of arrogance. And like I say in all these videos, I'm just hoping that the American people can see it and they're done with this arrogance, this elitism, and the endless excuses. I just have this feeling that the Democrats have set their party back a generation. I think they're going to find themselves even further out of power moving forward. And honestly, in the end, I know they're blaming everybody else but themselves, but in the end, truthfully, they'll have no one to blame but themselves. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.